and welcome to Summit. It's another beautiful edition, and we are glad to be with you again today. I am Jumoke Michaels. Banji is right here today. Banji, good morning.
Good morning, Jumoke. You know what I'll say? I'll say compliments of the season. Christmas is in the air.
Yes.
I can feel it everywhere around me, and I want to say compliments of the season. I wish you a Merry Christmas. That's all our viewers out there, and a prosperous 2024. My name is Banji Busari. It's going to be an exciting one. I promise you that. And our guest, somebody that you would actually enjoy on this edition. You are welcome.
All right. So on Summit this morning, we are talking about the presidential intervention in Rivers crisis. A lot is going on that the president had to intervene, and there's been reactions everywhere, negative and positive. Of course, you know Nigerians. And to look at these issues with us this morning, we have And to discuss this issue with us this morning, we have Mr. Razak Ulukoba, a public affairs analyst and our friend in the studio with us. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you join us.
It's a pleasure being here.
It's our pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
And we just felt you were just the right person to actually discuss that topic that Jumoke just mentioned. The presidential intervention took a long time to come. A lot of people had actually made so much comments about president's aloofness in Rivers crisis. And they kept calling on the president to make an intervention before the issue went much further. I mean, the crisis went much further than it did. So at last, our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, made intervention at last yesterday with all the stakeholders, with the gladiators themselves. That's the former governor, Jason Wike, the current governor, Siminalayi Fubara, the APC chairman, the PDP chairman, and some other stakeholders, in fact, former governors too. At the end of that meeting, 8-point resolution came out. It was more or less a directive by the president towards resolution of all these crises that has refused to abate over these weeks. So I don't know if you recall or you can actually make us to understand some of these resolutions. One of them was a directive that all litigations must be dropped, that the impeachment move against the governor must be dropped, the funds must be released to the assembly lawmakers, and so, sorry?
The budget should be represented.
The budget should be represented
properly.
Presented before the the full house.
Yeah.
And the caretaker committees at the local government must be abolished. They must return to democratically elected chairmen at the local government council. 8 of them. So that was the resolution yesterday, and it brought so much relief at the crisis that has been on. So to you, how much success would you actually attribute to that intervention?
All right, thank you very much. I would say it's part of the democratic developmental process. Democracy is said to be stabilized when there's a party in power, spend so much time to have the opportunity to implement its own manifesto uninterrupted, just like the PDP had for 8 years. After which another party came on board. That's part of, in political science, that's part of what is called democratic development and democratic stability. It's a universal thing. What is happening in Rivers to send a clear message that the process of political stability is still not there in Rivers, because it's a decimal, it's a reckoning decimal, that each governor will want to fight the previous governor. Amechi fought Odili, Wike fought Amechi, Fubara is now fighting Wike.
It's never been this bad. Those examples, yes, quite right.
It will keep escalating. Bad situation, if it's not caught, it will keep escalating. If you give security to state police, they will call pickpockets. But federal police will always mishandle it. So pickpockets will not be thoroughly dealt with, and they become kidnappers, they become shekau, they become. So The situation in Rivers, the Rivers people, Nigerians should be a bit disappointed in the political class and the political elite of Rivers. There are states that, because it's not a permanent pattern, there may be a state that will be satisfied with, there's a state, for instance, in Britain, where a party contests election. They didn't contest elections at the state, a local level where they want to preserve the sanctity of their tradition. They've been there for long. There's a party in Britain, they are called the Reigning Lunatics. They contest election with the aim of losing woefully to educate political class that there's not much good in loss. So all the crisis that is coming from Rivers has become a pattern. If you look at all the list time, he left and Amechi came in. They never had it well. The same thing when Amechi left, Wike came in. Then we had Fubara and Wike again. This shows clearly that the political class is not about Wike. The political class in Rivers State are particularly not mature. And that is why INEC must do something. All of us are not politicians. Political class cannot continue to hold Nigerian down day in, day out. The greatest problem, I'm coming to the main question.
Yeah, the main
by just
question.
knowing the preamble. All these excesses that are coming out after over 20 years of our return to democracy, it should not be there again. We should be looking at something else again. Why will states get to this point? That's one. Then, coming to the role of the president, I think we should commend him. We had at a time when Obasanjo was there, this is a great opportunity for him to decimate the opposition political party. Anytime we had this kind of crisis in any state, that is the time the president in the past will come up to see it as an opportunity, because it's PDP in the states and APC at the center. You remember the declaration of a state of emergency in Plateau State when there was that crisis. You remember the arrest of a sitting governor, of the sitting governor in the east that time. Anambra. And on, the attempt to declare state of emergency in Lagos State. But the president at the moment allowed the state in the crisis to get to a point where it got to a point of no return before it comes in. And the intervention of the president in state matters is a political aberration. States stand on its own. We run a system where the federal and the state are the life of their own. There must be a mechanism for how any political issue can be resolved. Any political issue can be resolved. But because Nigerian political class has a way of creating trauma for us in the country, they subvert all the process of ensuring that those crises can be resolved. And that's why the president had to come in. So it's coming in. Nigerians should be very careful the way we refuse to be objective on issues. Because if the president had not intervened, what we will be saying in Rivers will be aberration. And if you start in the Rivers, the ripples effect will get to Bayelsa. And it's going to engulf the whole of Niger Delta, because Ijo and Ikwere sentiment are beginning to set in already. That this man is Ikwere, this man is Ijo, and that's not good for the country at the moment. That is the economy base of the nation at the moment. So the president, for the sake of the economy of the country, for the sake of the image of Nigeria in the face of the rest of the world, he has to come in. So, and because we have an attitude in this country where no matter what solution you bring on board, people will create a problem for that solution. We have that attitude. And that is why I will always come back to my proposal that the character of anybody who wants to become the president and the governor in Nigeria is so important that INEC has a very major role to play in the emergence of such candidates, to such an extent that party and INEC must interface regularly to give them a standard of someone who wants to come on board. 7 million people of Rivers State are inconsequential to political class in Rivers State. That's where I look at it.
All right, so sir, you are commending the president for his intervention.
Yeah.
All right, but do you agree with the elder statesman Robert Clark, the lawyer, that says that President Tinubu does not have any constitutional right to have waded into the Rivers State controversy and power tussle?
I've said it. The man is correct. It's just a moral intervention that he gave as a president. That's number one. Number two is that the kind of power the president of Nigeria have is such an extent that even if he doesn't have a right under the law of the land,
Legally.
the apparatus that is in control of can be used to harass the governor to submission. And that was what Obasanjo did in the past. He's in control of the police, declared state of emergency in Plateau. This is part of...
You recall what happened even in Oyo?
In Oyo too. And I think that attempt was made in Lagos State, but we were assertive that don't put an end to democracy. That was why he had to run back. And we documented all the things Obasanjo did, including the execution. We have details of the 92 OPC members that were killed in a single night at time of suicide and things like that. All the killings we documented. We sent it to ICC for Obasanjo's trial. So those were things that had to push OBJ back that time. So it might not have, which I agree with the statesman, but the kind of power that is wielded by the president, any governor with a wisdom will listen to the president of Nigeria. So no matter how we try to discourage the president from what he has done, it's the most appropriate thing at the moment. You can't watch a state got to a point where the entire station, the country will be on fire, because it has a way of spiraling into other states. And that's not what we are looking for at the moment. The insecurity in the Southeast, after Kano's bail conditions were thrown out of from the court, the application, you can notice that some level of insecurity are beginning to rear their ugly head. If Rivers is not curbed again, something will come up. And you see Azar already talking, saying a few things. So the thing that the president has done is the most appropriate thing.
Now,
it's left for the leaders in the Niger Delta to talk to their children. You have to talk to your children. If you don't want some outsider to intervene in the affair of your family in a market.
It was the elders themselves that asked the president to intervene.
So why?
Probably they didn't know what to do anymore.
So why are they condemning his intervention again? So everything boils down to the fact that there's a problem with the political class in Rivers State, and by extension, the South leaders. No. They have to school their children on how to conduct themselves in such a way that they are not going to become a burden to the rest of the nation. We can't be battling with the economic situation. We can't be battling with how to stabilize our life in spite of glaring challenges, and a state as important as Rivers will be in this kind of crisis. It's not good for the nation. And the more anybody tries to condemn the intervention from Rivers State or the Niger Center, the more they appear to the rest of the world as unserious, because it's their region.
Okay, let's look at it this way. Some of the comments, I mean, so many people have commented. Our former presidential candidate, Momodu, called it a legally absurd intervention. The elder statesman to that, Edwin Clark, said it was one-sided, undemocratic, dictatorial. You understand? So many adjectives were used to qualify. Now, looking at the one-sidedness of that intervention, let's x-ray each of those steps. Now, the governor was asked to drop all litigations against the defected lawmakers. he was also asked to allow those who resign to reapply and then come back to the cabinet. And then the councils must also return to democratically ruled chairman, that's headship, and all of that. He said all the 8-point resolutions were in favor of a kind of one-party state. How would you look at it? That the president actually did all that to further strengthen APC and the Wike in the state. Now, what's your own your own understanding of what the president did?
I think we should not play politics with a reverse crisis, and that's what the other statesmen and Dele Momodu and the rest of them.
You also agreed that this resolution is
necessary
from a moral angle.
Yes, yes.
That's what I'm saying. That let me get your
That's
point.
morally justified.
It's
not constitutional.
It's a moral. It's a moral.
It is politics.
No, it's moral in the sense that the law has designed our country in such a way that there's all apparatus for us to resolve any crisis under our law. If it is the governor, if it is a House of Assembly member that is going beyond the bound, there's a section in the law that spell out how we can handle the situation. But the political class, remember I said that the political class has bastardized all those very important and section of the law that we can use. And to begin to look at what they have said about whether it is in support of Wike or not, let's start with the genesis of the crisis. The governor woke up one day and said that the chief of staff and certain cabinet member must go. That was the genesis of the crisis. You know very well that there's no way where you don't have influencer in politics, which is popularly called Godfather here. How would Obama would have become the president of America if there's no such political influencers, which we call Godfathers? But because in Nigeria, the young people were not taught what is called mentorship in politics. They think it's not necessary. There's no how people who have mentored, who have...
Let's concentrate on those resolutions.
That's where I'm going, that the resolution is not one-sided. It started from the point where the governor sent his voice away. So that is...
Doesn't he have the right?
That is one thing. That's behind the scene, there are things that took place behind the scene. Yeah. There are certain appointments that who made that doesn't make sense to any of us, but it made a political sense to him. We don't know. So there are certain things that, from face value, we say, how does that affect Wike? From behind the scene, and that is how politics is played all over the world. So, and our own case can be different. The reason why they play it that way in the rest of the world is in their mind for the people. In our own political culture, they may not have us in mind, which is the case with River. So it started at the point. Then we can begin to assert his own influence too.
From outside government?
In the government.
Is that democratic?
No, that they belong to the same political party. You influence someone to become an House of Assembly member, action calls for reaction. And that's where I have to balance my own perspective on this matter.
You are justifying all the 8 resolutions?
No, I'm not justifying the 8 resolutions. We are looking at the genesis. We are trying to illustrate the genesis, that this was the genesis.
We are aware of the genesis.
Wike now also reacted.
Yeah, let's look at the resolutions
so in doing that, everybody must go back to the status quo. And that's going to begin from what the governor has done. So, but because the governor has done so many things, that must be reversed. That was why it looks as if the governor has done 10 things, that we have to go back to the status quo. And Wike has done only 2. That's how it's going to look.
Shouldn't the president have also directed the lawmaker, the 27 of them that defected, to also get back to status quo, to their party?
No, that would be dangerous.
How?
Because I kept talking about the political class, that there are service senators here who has left from APC to PDP. Would the president also direct them to go back? Because that was the precedence that the Rivers House of lawmakers worked on too. There's been that precedence since 1999 till date. It happened in favor of PDP. The war did not come to an end. It happened in favor of APC. The war did not come to an end. So, and as for me, both parties, all the parties, PDP, APC, Labour, NNPP, they are guilty of this. When someone comes to your own party,
but do you not see?
And you think it's justified?
Do you not?
The day someone now leaves their own party. So political class. See, don't make argument for the political class.
No, we're not.
Let's hold them responsible for this.
Let's look at the issues. What the new
so the president couldn't have said that.
The new arrangement, is it not a marriage of convenience, where the House is dominated by APC now, and the same House will have to superintend over the representation of the budget 2024. How favorable would the composition of the House now be to Governor Fubara? That's
the strength of how APC became attractive to them in Rivers. And you see, the governor shouldn't have started this at all. Because all these are the push effect of.
Are you not also one-sided?
No, the governor, the point it got to now, I'm saying that the governor shouldn't have started it at all. Because
voting in court.
In court, yeah, it shouldn't have. Because if you have weighed your capacity, maybe his assessment is that it was an heavyweight. Who would have thought that in the widest imagination of anybody in Rivers or outside Rivers, who would have thought that there are still some 27 people who would have loved to APC. Maybe he was not estimating that too. Your concern is, how do I make my people happy? Because in all of this, the governor himself, and by extension, Wiki, all this is not about the people. It's about the strength, political strength in Rivers State. Power tussle. And that is why we must go back to the leaders in the Rivers and in Niger Delta, that this character is not befitting of 21st century politics. If we must advance as a people, we must educate the political class to understand that the recurring decimal should be the people. This is not fair on people who voted for you and people who did not vote for you, but pay tax in Rivers and live in Rivers and expecting something good to come out of the government. So in the content of all of this, in the content, the question you ask is very important, because how do we go from here?
Yes, because
as a governor,
the elder statesman is saying that he will protest, and in fact, it will be a beginning of another crisis if the resolution points are not reversed. That is not democratic. So if those people, the elders of the state, are in opposition to those resolutions, how do you think it will work? How do you think peace will return?
Oh, I still think that any leader that is or protesting anything that is not using the plight of the people of Rivers as a justification for any protest is also part of the political class that doesn't have regard for the people. If their concern is that this may not engender good governance, I can understand. But if it's only about Fubara and Wike, we should not be impressed about that. A time has come for us to be able to separate political class from their devious intention to a political class that have the intention of people attack, because all these things are not about the people. So for us, for you and me, and every other person, what is going to come out for the people, for the whole of these things? If care is not taken, this is how the next 4 years will be spent in waste in Rivers State. And that should be the concern of elder statesman. That should be his concern. That budget, how will the budget work? How will everything? So, and when you look at all of this, when President Jonathan was there, we engaged and interacted with him. And we told him that your concern as the president of Nigeria is not to keep assuring your boys that they are going to be assuaged. Your concern should be that when I leave office, will you still continue this good life that you are living as a president? And that should have been his focus then. And that should be the focus. The oil producing state in Nigeria cannot continue to be in this kind of crisis. So we as Nigerians should begin to express our disappointment in the character of anybody that is taking part in fueling this crisis. Because queuing behind Wike and Fubara on this matter may not be too good for us. Because there are other states too that may be looking like this if care is not taken. Kaduna is there for us. If you are not careful, this is the way Kaduna may also go. And at what age of our democratic consolidation must we continue to do? So for me, what we should look at now is how do we turn our setback into victory? The status quo must remain as it is. And in addition to what the president has done, the 2027 campaign must also be given a clear instruction, similar to what the president has given, that they must not sabotage Fubara. And that is how to secure the plight of the people. Because the point he has raised, which is very valid, that how will the governor feel if he takes anything to a parliament where majority is an opposition? So for such a house, if they want to ensure that 4 years is in crisis for the governor, it's possible to do that for him. So that should be part of the resolution, and that should be part of the demand by the elders, by the political class, and by the people who love rivers. This demand is very important. Because if it's not mentioned early enough now, I can bet you in the next 2 weeks, there may be impeachment move against the government.
I was coming to that. How much assurances can we extract from the returnees that there will not be another impeachment?
That should be part of the resolution.
Then those commissioners that are also being asked to reapply. Now, how much loyalty can the governor enjoy from those people that are coming back?
Based on the reasons they gave for even resigning in the first place.
You know, you said that it looks as if I'm one-sided. I said this crisis was a needless crisis because Rivers was peaceful, and I'll come back to my intro that why must it become a pattern for Rivers State? That don't you have people who can manage crisis to become the governor of Rivers State? Why must governors on seats turn into a permanent attitude to fight governor that has just left? Exactly what Amechi did too. There are states in this country where we kept having opposition taking over from opposition, taking over, and they find a way of resolving their crisis and moving their state forward. So the summary of it is not for us to be distracted on Rivers or merge it with another neighboring state, so that we know that there is no Rivers State again. Because
but if we continue to resolve issues politically, and then we always continue to leave out our constitution and around issues and all that, how is this going to help our democracy in the long run?
My sister, don't hold yourself responsible for it. Hold the political class responsible. They are responsible for it.
But where are we going with all this?
We will not go anywhere until we have to do what a lot of people have recommended, that the kind of people that INEC gave space or platform to become the governor or president of this country, you have to be careful about it. It starts from that point. Because we know characters of certain people before they became senator, and the next thing, they started hiding inside on top of a tree, saying that they were being chased by kidnappers. The same person managed to become a candidate of a political party in Kogi State. So it's about how INEC handles the political parties. The political is actually the vehicle that transports all these characters to that platform. So INEC must henceforth bring out a model that is so thorough that it becomes very difficult.
But don't you think,
And it's possible.
Don't you think the godfathers are stronger than INEC?
No.
Godfathers who push these candidates.
No.
And once they push the candidates always win.
No, don't let us come back to the question of, because I want to avoid the question of restructuring tonight, because all these things boils down to the whole question of restructuring. Because our institutions are so weak that it became very easy for political class to take advantage of it, because INEC must be completely independent. It must not be an appointee of the president at the national or at the state. The same thing goes for the police, which was what give the president that enormous power. Because that's why I said that there's a danger for any sitting governor that doesn't want to listen to Mr. President. That's enormous power. You ask Obasanjo completely staff Lagos State for about 5 years of his fund. And you imagine that, how can president do that? It's not possible in the rest of the...
How do we ensure compliance of all these resolutions? Don't forget that the president intervened once. This is the second time. This is the second intervention. What are the assurances that even this one will work? And then who would monitor or ensure the compliance of all these resolutions?
The thing is not to...
For instance, the governor has been mandated to release funds.
The thing is
to allow the assembly to control his funds and all of that. What if he's a bit circumspect?
The thing is to keep bringing out the political maturity of the Rivers political class. If it was an one-off thing, of course, we will say that, okay, let's put our head. But it has become a permanent pattern since 1999 today. Something is wrong in the political class in Rivers State. Even on those states, Osun State, the guy is trying to manage all his crises. He did want to a judge, he quickly reverses, and he's managing himself. And if you look at states who had in content and character, similarity with what we had in River, you see, it's not a permanent thing. It kept coming and going. And that is the kind of structure we run. It will keep plotting us against each other because it's not clearly defined that is the president in charge of Nigeria. Is the president not in charge of state? There's a section of the constitution that is in charge, and I will say it's not in charge. So there's that confusion until you sort it out. But before we sort it out, we must learn how to manage our life. And that is the character of who becomes the governor of your state. If the love of the people is paramount in your heart, you'll be doing this. In fact, the president, I appreciate him. He had an opportunity now to behave like the way the president of Nigeria between 1999 to 2007 behaved. He could have taken over Rivers. And that time, the Obasanjo would not bother about public opinion. He wants to take all the state for PDP that time. It was not him. It was the governor that started weeding out the assumed supporter of Wiki. It came from, he wanted to laugh. So if it had come from Wiki, we would have said, okay, this is a deliberately machinated a provocation for the governor to withdraw. But it came from the governor. That's why it is very difficult for some of us to say that it is an APC precipitated crisis.
The governor know how he got there.
Yes.
Okay, some of the resolutions about reversal of the earlier decisions and actions. Now, there are some things that are not reversible. You and I know that.
Yeah.
The House of Assembly that was pulled down, that's not reversible. Billions of naira may have to be spent to bring back or to rebuild that structure.
So
at whose expense?
You are saying that the president is not lenient? Can any governor do that during Obasanjo's time?
By implication,
and it will still be the governor today.
By implication, does that not also suggest that if it has happened once, it may happen again? Does that not mean that other governors can also take that, or can also decide that decide to silence one arm of the government? That's the legislative. Can it also happen at the national level the way it happened?
And I don't know why.
Can it happen at the national level the way it happened in Rivers, where the National Assembly will be pulled down under the guise of renovation?
The whole of Nigerians are not like Rivers, the political class in Rivers. I don't think it is possible because there are quite a number of political class in Nigeria that are mature. or that will not be possible. If anybody says that the way Fubara is being treated is too harsh, why do you close your eyes to critical issues like that? And you think we should not, Nigerians should not talk about it? So the governor didn't do well at all. And I don't know where Wike why he didn't assess some of this very well, why he brought him on board. I don't know why the assessment was not done. And that's why we have to bring it back to INEC again. That didn't you see this tendency in a political class before you say you should come and preside over the fate of
you seem to be speaking like an inquiry man.
How?
He just are listening to you.
You seem to see anything wrong with the
you seem to be speaking like an inquiry man. He just might not be kind, might not be happy with your analysis. Now, you should have had a second thought about the choice of the governor. The governor the judge would also tell you that the governor has done anything wrong.
Pulling down a parliamentary edifice.
Maybe after receiving a report from consultants.
That's a political. That's an aberration.
It has failed integrity.
And test. I don't think that no governor in this country has gone to that length. Just because you don't want the city. Assumption. Because it's a popular assumption. And that's what many Nigerians will assume.
But the question you would ask those people that are condemning this intervention is, if the intervention had failed to come, would the governor have run with the 4-man approval of budget 2024 that was presented before them? Would he have implemented that budget that only 4 members of the House, without any recourse to constitutional procedure?
We had such in Ekiti before.
Okay.
We had such in Ekiti, and it might sail.
Remind us.
It might sail. Where 5 were greater than, was it 13?
13, 5 years, 13.
Delodugbe was a speaker.
Yes.
He was leading 5 parliamentary members, and the other speaker was leading,
shut out.
Omiron was leading 13 members, and it was there for so long. And that's why I'm saying that Jumoke tried to moralize and say that must we continue this? You are not responsible for that. I'm not responsible for that. It's the political class. The elite are so desperate to such an extent, the political elite are so desperate to such an extent that to achieve a political aspiration, a political move, they can do anything. And that's why I say that it's also possible for any political structure to be abused all over the world. Trump tried to do it. But many people later discover the trait of Trump. It didn't come back for the second time. And the Republican also accepted that there was an error in the choice of Trump that time. That is the kind of model that we must introduce into our political institutions also in Nigeria, that we must not be careless about who we're going to become, to such an extent that we'll be having the Fubara situation where he was ready to have 4 people to present his budget to and run it for another 1 year. Where we had the governor who also had a parliament that the speaker had 4, 5, another one had 13. We can't bring our life back to that. This was a period of experimentation. We have to close that chapter in our life. We have to begin to run our democracy the way it is written in our book. So, right, so INEC is important for INEC to be very, very, very careful how he allows certain characters to become our senators, House of Assembly members.
The of INEC that you have just raised would actually just reminds me of what somebody else, a PDP for instance, had written INEC, to conduct a fresh election, to actually fill those vacant, defected members of the House that defected to APC. INEC had actually been told, informed by PDP and some other people, stakeholders to conduct. Are you sweeping all of that under the carpet?
The precedence for what they have done is there. And INEC is not choosing what to remember and what not to remember. INEC must remember all political developments in Nigeria. And INEC will remember that it is a recurring pattern in Nigeria where people win election on the platform of political party and go to another party. There were precedents. If you begin to count the numbers, governor has done it. Atiku did it that time. He left his principal's party, APC, PDP, and came to ACN that time to contest an election. Governors, parliament members have done it. So
I remember Governor of Cross River.
So where will you throw that? Where will you say
There have been precedents.
Your pattern of decision that anybody has done that should be penalized? Where will you say you have gotten? So there's a precedent and it may not fly. And that's why PDP is saying this thing today. Let's try to remember. A time is coming where PDP to enjoy that kind of style. And they'll keep quiet. Just in this last election, the two elections that held, the governorship election, PDP won the state. And PDP was making noise that it was not fair and fair, only for PDP to lose in another state. PDP started saying that the election is not fair and fair. So, where political class in Nigeria don't win or don't have victory in the election, INEC is not a credible institution. But the moment they win, INEC become their friend. So, on this note too, you can't continue to plot Nigerians against each other. What your party has done at some other time is what APC has also done this time to you too. So on that basis, let's find a day and a time when all of us will agree that let's begin to play our politics with sanity. What has happened in Rivers, we have to hold the political class responsible for it. Nigerians are out of fear, and in going forward, you must remember the plight of 7 or 9 million people, Rivers citizens. That should be paramount in our mind. To elders, to Fubara, to Wike, and to all of us.
All right, thank you so much, sir. That's a good place to drop the discussion. So we'll leave it to the people of Rivers State to see how this works out. This presidential intervention, the resolutions work out, and give peace a chance. Thank you so much, sir, for obliging our invitation.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you. All right, so we'll be moving on to the next segment of the program, where we'll always showcase developmental strides of the Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration in Lagos State. We have another new one for you today, so please watch and know what's happening in Lagos State. I am Chimoke Michael. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Governance has actually taken a back seat in Rivers State, and that's not good for democracy. Democracy must actually show dividends for the people. Of course, that's the essence of democracy. I want to appeal to the gladiators, the State Assembly, the Executive Judiciary to come together and ensure that the errors of the past are not repeated, and that they always put people first in whatever they do. Their interest is paramount, but of course, the people that voted them into power are much more important. That's the essence of democracy. That's our package today, as Jumoke has said. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye. Banji Busari is my name.
That's what we need to take. One, to go to that opportunity, we need to go like this, turn under, and then go like this. This is the one that is coming from as owing to just come and join.
For the administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, there is an ever-strong desire to bequeath a formidable infrastructural legacy, which apparently is one of the focal points of the administration's themes agenda. The latest addition to a series of iconic projects embarked upon by the administration is the Okpebi-Ojota Link Road, which is projected for completion in the second quarter of the year 2024. In order to meet up with the scheduled commissioning of the project, Governor Sanwo-Olu, in company of the Deputy Governor, Engineer Kadri Obafemi Amzat, and members of Lagos State House of Assembly, embarked on an inspection of the ongoing project recently.
So this part of it is coming down. Ah, okay. So people who will turn from a they're going down. So this is coming down. Ramp down.
Following an on-the-spot assessment of the project, Governor Sanwo-Olu expressed satisfaction about the steady pace and quality of the work.
I'm impressed with the amount of work that Messrs. Julius Baja has done here. And we came here last was, I think, about 11 months ago, was in January or so, or February. And between that time and now, this bridge was not in existence at that time. There was barely nothing. You know, I'm happy with the level of work that we've seen thus far. We're still on track with the commissioning, with the completion rather. We're still hoping that by the second quarter next year, towards the third quarter, they should finish this entire road construction so that we can hand it over to the citizens and also can be available.
The governor was upbeat as he told journalists that the work had reached 65% completion level, and he was optimistic that the project will be delivered mid-2024.
65% is about, 60-65%. And by the time you had materials on site and all the rest of it, it can be getting further down 60-something, closing to 70%. But there's still a lot of work to be done. But the major heavy lifting, which is the major bridge component, have all been completed. So it's really a decompile on all of the slip roads around, that will come, and that will take you to either, Maryland, that will take you to Ojota, that will take you to Okpebi, and they're also doing a lot of road improvement on the Okpebi, Mende Road and bridge, so that it will free the entire traffic, all around this corridor. So I would say between 60-65%.
Governor Sanwo-Olu recognized the competence and technical capacity of the contractor, Julius Baja Nigeria Limited, which ensured that proper excavation of the muddy soil was carried out to ensure that a solid work is done.
Well, these link roads and bridges, as you can see, it's been a very tough terrain. Apart from the main bridge that you'll see, there are also additional bridges both on my right, and even all of the slip roads are like decompile, meaning that they are bridges, in their own right, because you can see that the soil texture are really, really bad. In fact, the project manager, Julius Baja, says they have to do excavation of over 20 meters in some places, just so that they can preserve, the land, and they can work seamlessly. So part of the things that we see as a small problem is how to now link this place with Ojota. They've done a bridge to our right there, but the road connection has to also go under this old bridge at some point. And so there are a few issues there that they need to remove, and also all of the connection around underneath this bridge. You can also see that there are one or two houses that they have to, take down and rebuild their fences down there.
Despite the grand covert, the governor told the contractor that much more work still needed to be done, and as a result, charged the contractor to work more assiduously to achieve the delivery schedule.
This is an economic development that we're changing the face of traffic management, we're changing the face of commuting in Lagos, and we're changing the face of access to modern infrastructure, roads, and development. The idea say that some of the downside that you see is that because people that are also building in this terrain have not done all the work that they need to do. We notice that there are some buildings on my right-hand side there that appear as if they are tilting. right? And you can see it for yourself, gentlemen of the press, that indeed, in due course, some of those buildings will need to come down, if they are not currently also on their own taking down those buildings. So that's why we always advise, our citizens, that you just don't see a land and you start building. You just don't see a piece of land and you go on it and start building, because the consequences of not doing the right thing is that it will catch up with you.
The 3.9-kilometer Okpebi-Ojota Link Road was conceived about a year ago to provide a transportation management and infrastructural solution to people living in the axis. Specifically, the road was targeted at easing traffic and provision of alternative routes for commuters from Toyin and Okpebi roads, as well as traffic from Mobolaji Bankantoni Road, Maryland, and other adjoining areas.
At the Okpebi Bende Ojota link bridge and auxiliary works. This project was conceived about a year, not up to a year and a half ago, over a year ago, which is meant to solve a major traffic problem, but also to provide alternatives for our citizens, people that are coming from Toyin, Allen, Okpebi. How can they access, the Ojota Bridge? People from Maryland, how can they go on straight into Ikeja? So it will solve a lot of the alternative problems that we have either on Kudirat Abiola Road, even going as far as going towards Alausa. If you're also trying to solve the major traffic issues we have on Mobolaji Bankantoni Way, and all of it. And as you can see, we're on top of the new bridge, which has the Odoyalaru, stream right under this bridge.
Speaking further, the governor emphasized that the new road is designed to change the face of traffic management and the face of commuting in Lagos. In addition, the governor stated that the new facility will change the face of access to modern infrastructure and development in Lagos.
There's still going to be a bit of furniture that you're going to see on this bridge. Eventually, it will look like another iconic bridge in Lagos, which will be similar to what we have in Lekki, axis. And as you can see, there's enough room for cycling. There's enough room for pedestrian walking, even on the bridge. So it's a total life change. We are going to be encouraging people that want to exercise, right, that want to move freely, and ensure that what we see in other developed nations are the kind of infrastructural development that we're doing in Lagos. So overall, like I said, we're happy with the contractor. We're happy with all of the consultants that are here. This one has additional width and additional support. Bicycle lane, walkway. Even if your car should break down, you can still have like a place where you can recess and park. So this, what development does and new infrastructure, you'll be better than the last one that you did. Okpebi Link Road or Okpebi Link Bridge was what the design at that time was. But now we're doing it, we have to, put additional, human needs into it, which includes things like walkway, pedestrian walkway, bicycle lane, parking, for vehicles that break down on, so that it doesn't impede, the regular amount of traffic that needs to come on this road.
Lagos State House of Assembly Deputy Majority Leader Adedamola Kasumu, who represented the Speaker Mudashiru Obasa at the event, lauded the efforts of the governor in providing quality life for the populace through provision of world-class infrastructure.
Usually we don't break protocol like this, but I feel it is noteworthy for us to, on behalf of the constituency, myself, Honorable Adedamola Richard Kasumu, Honorable Sheyi Lawal, and the representative House of Reps member, Honorable James Abiodun Faleke, and the entire good people of the Ikeja constituency, thank you, because this is not a project for Ikeja constituency 1, it's a project for Ikeja constituency 1 and 2, and all other connecting areas within Lagos State. And we thank you that then you said you were not going to forget Ikeja, and you have proven today that you have not forgotten Ikeja. So far, so good. We thank you for this work so far, and we know that by the time it is complete, it is going to be a state of the art, like I said. Thank you very much, Mr. Governor.
Aside from the dual carriageway, the project, when completed, will also boast of pedestrian walkway and cycling lane. Governor Sanwo-Olu informed journalists that government will encourage people that wish to exercise by the bridge to do so and move freely, as government has the intention of replicating in Lagos State what is seen in developed parts of the world. With the addition of this road to the existing road projects embarked upon by this administration, the dream of Lagosians towards a free-flow traffic will have largely been achieved.
No, there's no breed of everybody's coming. If this one is coming, everybody.